Hey guys, Dev back with Crime Hive, and we are back to another video on the Letecia Stauch case, and she just can't seem to find her way out of the news, can she? Well, we got an interesting one here today because we've learned that she tried to plot an escape from the El Paso County Jail where she currently is staying, awaiting for her trial. Now, we're going to talk about the affidavit that explains just what she did in plotting this escape. Before I get into it, though, again, make sure you guys subscribe if you like these kind of videos. This is Dev with Crime Hive, and Instagram, I'm on Instagram as well, Crime Hive Now. And let's get started here with this video. So, again, many of us are very familiar with this case already. You got Letecia accused of murdering Gannon Stauch. So, very severe charges, very emotional case, obviously. A lot of people are very upset about this case, and rightly so. So we're going to talk about these charges and this plan that she had to escape here. So again, we know she's at the El Paso County Sheriff's or County Jail, which is in Colorado Springs, Colorado, right in that area. And and we're going to be looking at the affidavit as we go through there. So this is the affidavit of probable cause. We know that in this, she was charged with solicitation to commit escape. So if you guys are wondering with solicitation, I've just got a quick definition here that talks about it. And basically in Colorado, and there's every state's different. So this is from the Colorado Revised Statutes. And the definition that we're using here for solicitation is they're guilty if he or she commands, induces, entreats, or otherwise attempts to persuade another person or offers his or her services or another's services to a third party to commit a felony, whether as a principal or accomplice, with intent to promote or facilitate the commission of that crime. So basically what we're looking at here is she had a plan in trying to escape, and she actually solicited another inmate. We're going to talk about that in the affidavit. So she actually came to another inmate, and she had this plan, and she was trying to request help in this plan. So let's talk about that as we go through. Now, back to the affidavit. So we're just going to get through this here, and I'm going to minimize this a little bit. And then so as we go through here again, this actually takes place on May 18th, 2020, not very long ago. All right, this is at 1900 hours, which is 7 p.m. And so you've got this deputy here, Deputy Draper, who's writing these facts and circumstances, which is the probable cause to arrest Letecia for this new charge. So we know that what happened here is the deputy spoke to another inmate. And this inmate was identified as, her name is Miss Borchardt. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. It could be Borchardt. I'll say Borchardt. How about that? I'm sure somebody will correct me on that if I'm wrong. But so we'll say Miss Borchardt. She's another inmate at the El Paso County Jail. She comes to the deputy saying that she had received a couple letters from Letecia. So in these letters, she states were these written plans for Letecia to escape. So we know that Letecia had been communicating with Miss Borchardt, and we know that Letecia had an hour out of her day where she could go out, and this is the time where she was communicating with Miss Borchardt. So how she would communicate, she would slide these notes under doors or through the door jamb. And so she was writing these letters, and some of you guys might be familiar with this concept. It's called phishing. You know, they're these little kites, which they call notes, and where they're communicating from each other. And I'm just going to share a short little clip just to give you guys a better idea of what it would be like in the prison. But again, we're talking about a county jail here, so a little bit less restrictive. I mean, there's actually, if she is going to plan an escape, it would most likely be easier for her to do so at the county jail rather than the prison, where it's much more secure in most cases. So I'm just going to show this little clip of inmates here that are passing these kites, these notes. And if you guys need to adjust the volume, you see these little notes going under the doors here. these inmates have plenty of time, right? They have all day to come up with these ingenious ways to communicate with one another. And you can see how simple it is for them. It's their own little network of communication, right? So I just wanted to show that real quick just to give you an idea. Apparently Letecia, she had full range here. I mean, she was able to go out for that hour and communicate with other people. And so let's get deeper into this plan that we're talking about here. So we know she's passing the notes, right? And so what we learn is right here it talks about how Letecia's in full restraint, escape risk. So basically she is bound. I mean, her wrists, her ankles, she's got the belt around with the chain. She is very secure when she's moved around from place to place. So, you know, if you're wondering kind of what that full restraint is, I mean, these handcuffs have an additional security measure on it in case, you know, somebody's a magician and can kind of, you know, pick those handcuff locks. I mean, this is a whole nother layer of security to prevent that. And that's why they have this device. And, you know, they got the belt chain, they've got the ankle. So it's just very difficult for somebody to escape to begin with. And so she's in that category right now. She's also, what we learned here is this is where Miss Borchardt is interviewed by this deputy. So she starts to talk in, and we're going to dig in here. So she starts giving, there's 2 letters that she had received from Letecia, and, you know, stating that she made these plans to escape. So what she said is that Letecia was planning on breaking out of her cell window, okay? And she took these overt steps. She measured herself, apparently, as we're looking right here. She measured herself and said that she would be able to fit through the window. And she actually requested Miss Borchardt to help her because Miss Borchardt was Italian and kind of a bad boy, apparently. So that's why she thought that Letecia was soliciting her. And she thought that if Miss Borchardt had helped her, she would give her money. And if she helped with the escape, she would give her money. And we know that Miss Borchardt, you know, was basically like, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, she just wants to do her time. So she ends up going to the deputy. By the way, it's very common for inmates or people in jail or prison to, you know, they will actually manipulate and you know, persuade other inmates to give them more information about their case, because they can then go to these deputies and give them this information in hope that maybe their sentence will be reduced a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if Miss Borchardt was, you know, hoping to have her sentence reduced. She could be out earlier because of this information that was given to deputies. So another side note on that. How you guys liking this video so far? Comment below if you have any comments related to this, and we're going to continue through here. So going through more of the affidavit here, we know that Miss Borchardt says that she's not going to help out. And then right here, she says in the conversation on May 18th, this was in the morning of May 18th, she actually went to the deputy that night, that evening. And so on May 18th in the morning, she learns that Letecia was planning on using a broom handle to bust out of the window in her cell. So apparently she, you know, again, had already measured herself, knew she would fit through there. And this is, you know, we learned that she was really requesting Miss Borchardt's help because Miss Borchardt had access to a broom. You know, with her normal duties, she was in contact with this broom. And so Letecia was hoping she'd be able to get this broom handle for her. And so out of the 2 letters, we know that the deputy, you know, this deputy's investigating the handwriting, and it looks like from what the deputy gathered, the handwriting is similar in each letter. And one of them was written that says GPA, you know, I'm assuming that's Grandpa, was putting $75,000 in an account for a private attorney. Letecia was hoping to then use that money to share with Miss Borchardt. And basically, you know, she writes in this letter, "You have my word to make sure that we are MIA. I got us covered." You know, so she's trying to persuade Miss Borchardt to get in on this plan. Now, as we go through further, she's stating, you know, hey, I just need to set up some access points. And once we get access to the state bank and funds, they will be good. Okay? And then it was added in that same letter that we learned that it was partially in code, which is, again, pretty common for inmates to write in code, because these letters are all, a lot of them are opened and read, they're analyzed, there's just no privacy, so they are very clever in writing in their own, in their own code. They have these different methods to prevent these deputies from figuring out what they mean. So we can talk about that in another video as well. But so another thing here is, here's how they really knew this was Letecia. This is part of the investigative part. So they knew that at 8 p.m. Letecia was going to have a professional visit at 2000 hours on May 18th, 2020. So with a social worker, and that was going to last for about an hour and a half. Now, the letter talks about that, and we knew that Letecia had this meeting. So it just kind of corroborates, hey, this is, Letecia is most likely the author of that letter. Now, that was the first letter, okay? So now the second letter we're going to talk about is, again, similar handwriting. It talks about how she had measured and she drew something that resembled the window in her cell, okay? So she actually, making those steps, again, these steps of action she's taking. She's already making drawings, she's already measuring herself, and she thought it would be perfect next to the window that was drawn. And then again, this is where, she's trying to get that broken broom piece, and she's saying she's dead serious. She's asking Miss Borchardt to just think hard about it, and then she asked Miss Borchardt to throw away the note in the toilet. Okay, so a lot of things going on in these letters here. Now, deputy then gets this information, goes into Letecia's cell, tells her to put her shoes on. She's being moved, and they move her out so that they can then shake down her cell. And then, just another important point to mention is they say in this here that no other inmates had access to Ms. Stauch's cell, Letecia's cell. So that's another way for them to, when they're trying to charge somebody, to show that no other inmate could have written those letters or could have planted those letters in her cell, which could happen in jail or prison. So they say those things to show, hey, there's no doubt that this is Letecia that's writing that. So they start to shake down her cell, and they find another letter. This one's addressed to Sweetie. This one, again, similar handwriting. They find out and Letecia's saying, if something comes up on the news like she's no longer in jail or is missing, not to be afraid. We learned that on the back of one of those pages was the name Harley, which is Letecia's daughter. So, who's also her next of kin. She tells her to, trust her on this, and underlined it. So that was really the extent of the letters, and then those letters were placed into evidence. So really interesting. And when we talk about the shakedown, one other little thing I just want to show you guys, another small clip here I thought was interesting, that talks about some of the things these deputies encounter when they're shaking down these cells, and some of the clever hiding places that go on. So I just thought this would be interesting to give you guys a full idea of kind of what these shakedowns could look like. And so I'll just play another quick clip here. What do you guys think of all this so far?
Watch a random cell search in Maryland.
Where are you looking? What are you?
Every inch and every crevice.
When you look at a room, you suddenly realize there's an infinity of places that you can store things. The smallest switch is an opportunity.
There's a screw at the top, and they screw it out and they stick stuff up in there.
Drugs could be anywhere, including the soft tongue of a tennis shoe.
The toilet paper holder, and also the toilets.
They got nothing but time.
Officers smell everything in the cell.
Making sure it is what it is. If it's soap, it's supposed to be soap. It smells like butter, it's not supposed to be in here.
Captain Kevin Branch is an investigator and says the hot drug in prison is called boxes. It's Suboxone, a chemical which mimics the effects of heroin. It can be found in strips as thin as cellophane. He shows us how one was sneaked in under a stamp on a letter.
Under the stamp?
Under the stamp.
That's
the box in there.
Pretty clever.
The officers like searching for a needle in the stacks of hundreds and hundreds of pieces of mail every day.
So inside the mail was just a magazine cover, and inside the magazine was just some magazine pages. But as you look at the paper, you see this clear square. Looks strange to us. We tore the whole thing apart, and inside is a Suboxone strip.
Interesting, you guys. So just wanted to share that. I just thought that was interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And again, that's really the end of the affidavit there. Again, she's looking at that new felony charge, as you know, we're already waiting to find out the verdict with this murder charge that she's already carrying with her. So let me know what you guys think about this crazy story to add with the Letecia case. And again, this is Dev with Crime Hive. We'll be back with another video soon. You guys take care.